Hey, how you doing? This is Ivan Velez. Welcome to Manga 101. So, who am I? That's a really good question. My name is Ivan Velez Jr., and I'm a cartoonist in the Bronx, and this is some of my work. Yeah, my name is Ivan Velez. I was born in the Bronx in the 60s, and I grew up to be a cartoonist. Hey, back when I was a teenager, I was very lucky to get a daily comic strip in the Daily Orange, my college newspaper. So I did that for 4 years, and actually taught me a whole lot of how to tell a story. Um, yeah, after I left college, I was very lucky to find a wonderful, warm place where I can do my art. After that, I was very lucky to do Tales of a Closet, which was a comic book that went to all the high schools and all the organizations and back in the early 80s. And after that, I found a home in mainstream comics, particularly with Milestone. Milestone Media was a company that used a lot of really wonderful artists and writers of color. And they actually looked like Tales of Closet, and they came and got me. And they offered me their team book. I was so happy about the Blood Syndicate. And I got to do Static, which later turned into Static Shock the cartoon. And those were like golden years for me. They were creating characters of color, superheroes of color with different shades and faces and ethnicities and orientations. And I was so lucky to get on the ground floor with that and be one of their core writers. And yeah, later on, I did do some time at Marvel and DC Comics, but nothing was ever as good as Milestone. I even did some kid stuff, and I still do social service stuff, like Alzheimer's comics, stuff that talks about the past. Yeah, I became a teaching artist as well, and started kind of sharing my skills with kids, particularly kids of color, so they can start telling their stories and start making their heroes in the mainstream and the mythology. And I still do my own independent stuff that deals with the history of people of color in America, because it's something very important to me. I want to make sure that people get comics that reflect what they look like, what their experiences are, and kind of real about the history of people of color in America. So that's what I'm doing now. That's enough about me. Let's get back to Manga 101. So let's begin things with a brief history of manga. Manga is the Japanese word for comics. And Japan had a very, very, very long history of comics, way before we did. In fact, a lot of their old stories come from ghost stories and fairy tales, where creatures in the woods and spirits were conspired together to trick people. Of course, the way we know comics really started in America, particularly during the 30s and the 40s and World War II, where you had all these kinds of superheroes, every type of superhero fighting the Nazis and fighting crime. And a lot of soldiers brought these comics over to Japan during and after the war, World War II. These comics actually influenced a lot of Japanese comics back then. Meanwhile, in Japan, in World War II, things were going pretty bad. They were losing the war, fought against the Europeans and the Americans. They were the only country that had 2 atom bombs dropped on it. A lot of people were suffering after the war finished and after they lost the war. Poor kids in the streets, a lot of like really bad things happening to a lot of folks. Comics and manga actually help people get through those times, particularly Astro Boy. Osamu Tezuka, he's considered the grandfather of manga, and he created this wonderful character, this little boy robot, who became kind of like the first really super popular shonen character, boy character. Machiko Hasegawa was also a really fabulous cartoonist who was very, very popular, and she created this character, this everyday woman who went through all the troubles that Japan did. So she was there before the war, during the war, and after the war. And the character changed the way women's lives changed in Japan. And she became very popular, and she became like a national symbol. So after these 2 comics came out, and all of a sudden, manga started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And basically, the Japanese people could not get enough of these comics. And there are a lot of legends about what or who really influenced manga. But if anyone knows Mickey Mouse, when Mickey Mouse cartoons started going to Japan and the people kind of fell in love with that simple kind of big-eyed character, they started making their characters big-eyed and simple too. And if you notice, even Astro Boy, with his big eyes, if you notice the triangles on his head, if you place him with circles, he's pretty much Mickey Mouse. So American comics and American animation was a great influence on Japanese manga back then. Now it seems to be the other way around. So manga is big. Manga is the best-selling comics in the world right now. Manga is in every continent, every city. Teenagers and kids of all ages just love, love, love manga. What's good about manga in Japan is that everyone gets manga. If you're young, you get manga. If you're older, you get your own kind of manga. If you're a woman, you get your own kind of manga. If you're an older man, you get your own kind of manga. If you're a fireman, you get your own kind of manga. If you're a teacher, if you're a scientist, if you're a nurse, if you're a garbage man, if you're a sports player, everyone gets their own kind of manga. And everyone reads there, and they have special even garbage bins where they put the old manga there to be recycled. It's just this fabulous thing. And they're very good for your dollar because in one book that comes out weekly, which maybe has 10 to 15 stories, of black and white, easily readable chapters of fabulous characters. It's probably around $4.55. Where in America right now, if you get an American comic book, one issue, maybe 20 pages, that's about $5. They're easily digestible and it's just part of the national spirit and it's just grown up to be part of the world. Everyone loves manga now. So let's start doing some manga. The three most popular types of characters in Japan are the Chibi, Shoujo, and the Shonen. Shonen means boy, shoujo means girl, and chibi means little in Japanese. So chibis. Chibis are pretty simple to do. So all you need is a pencil or a pen and some paper and get to work. When you first start a chibi, think about the size of the head. They're enormous, okay? Now you can do a chibi kind of this style too, or a chibi with a different kind of shape of head. But they tend to have big round heads, okay? Now, think about the body. The most basic chibi is big circle, kind of like a rectangle for the body. The arms come out of the top corners. The legs come down at the bottom corners. This is the most simple kind of chibi you can do. There's another kind of chibi if you want, that's a little bit more complicated, more animation style, particularly with Disney and stuff like that, where there's a lot of action and emotion to the body. When you think about the head as a balloon and the string as a spine. Now the string gives you the flavor, the string gives you movement, and the string gives you like a mood. So for instance, if I put the body around the string, right away the character's standing a certain way. Now, shoulders on the top, hips on the bottom, and you pose the character. So you notice that my character, don't forget the knees. Remember I did the elbows? I also want to do the knees when I do my feet, okay? So when you think about the character, I tend to do big feet. Now, the reason why I do big feet is I want to make them into a toy. I'm greedy that way. I want my Chibis to be popular and make a lot of toys. And if they become toys, they need big feet to kind of stand. Now, if you go to GameStop and see those like Chibis that they sell in Funko, they tend to have big feet too to kind of stand evenly. So it's just kind of like a trick. Of course, you can go the tiny feet way. For instance, if I do this Chibi, right, I can do like little hands and tiny little pointy feet. That's okay too, but then you're gonna, if it becomes a toy, you're gonna need a special stand to kind of make it stand. Okay, and that's kind of a drag sometimes. I want to play with my toys. So, all right, here we go. The first Chibi is the simplest one. Remember, thicken the arms up a little bit. Use those kind of mittens. What's good about making mittens is that you can actually separate it into kind of fingers like. Okay, you separate the feet and then you go big. At least I go big. I like big feet also because it gives me a chance to put a lot of details in there. I love those Chibis that have the clothing like really, really well done. And you can see like all the eyelids and like the design that's done. Particularly girl Chibis. Sometimes they have really fancy dresses on and very delicate stuff. And it just seems to work really well for me. You see how I can put a belt? I'll make him somebody from my neighborhood. Although most of the kids don't wear belts in my neighborhood. Let's give him a little star. Now notice that I'm drawing pretty heavy with the pencil, but I want you to know that when you draw kind of lightly. Now we go over here and make this one. Now this is the way animators do it. Animators tend to do the skeleton first and then they draw the Chibi, okay? See? Notice how all of a sudden it has like a design. Then you take an eraser and you erase what you don't need. Now notice that this erasers, I'm using a program right now, a digital program, so it erases very well. But since most people are going to draw like with pencils and pens and markers and stuff, I would suggest you draw very lightly with the pencil, kind of just sketch it out, and then you have the body, okay? You want to ink it later too, and I'm going to show you that soon, okay? So now you have like a body, and you can put clothing on it. So let's say I'm going to match the clothing that this character has, the first one. Give it a little star design, okay? Give it a little belt buckle. Notice that it's a little rounder. I did it more 3D style, so everything's a little bit more rounder. Because when you pose the character, they're not stiff like the first one. This is number 1. This is number 2. This one is number 3. Okay. Although they look like the same character, don't they? Except his pants here. Let's make them a little bit more baggy. And then we can make his pants a little baggy here too. Okay. Remember, baggy means a little kind of like wrinkles and kind of stuff in the pants. And you go back with the eraser again. Ta-da! Okay. So, I want you to try the Chibi, but let me go with this guy. If you want to go really, really basic and really kind of super cute, you can go do like this. Little tiny ones. And now a lot of people like to do this one. But I like to play with a little bit of realism so they kind of make sense a little bit. So when I do bigger feet, that means that they can stand, they can run, at least in my head. Okay, that's very important. Now, the heads, the faces. The faces are pretty simple. Remember, press lightly. Okay. If you go to number 2, we can go with a little bit more of a curve on it. Pretend it's a ball and do that cross that's on number 1. You're going to do it on number 2 like an egg. So this line goes curves around like that, like 3D. Okay. Here, you can do the same thing you did on number 1. Okay. Now let's start with the super cute. Super cute, really super big eyes. Super, super big eyes. Tiny nose, little mouth. Okay. In fact, you could go crazy on that. There used to be these dolls in the 60s that had eyes like that, but they always kind of scared me a little bit. And if anybody knows Katie Keene, she was this painter who made these little tiny children with really huge eyes. Again, for some reason, they kind of scared me. But some people like them as cute, okay? Now, notice how I can still take the eraser and erase what I don't need, all right? Again, press lightly and you don't even have to erase that much, all right? Now, if I do the drawing on this side, line, line, same thing, nose here, remember, these lines, the eyes are here, below the eyes is gonna be the nose, and below the mouth, the nose is the mouth, okay? I like to do 2 little dots as a cheat. That way, if I color it, it kind of looks, have that little shiny effect to it, see? Kind of like wet eyes. Because the secret of Chibis, if you can make the eyes look really wet and kind of shiny, like they're just about to cry or just finished crying, you really connect the audience. You go, oh, this poor baby, what's wrong with them? Okay. You pay attention to them more often. Okay. Now, notice that the head is very low. We'll talk about that soon. All right. Again with the eyebrows. Erase with the eraser. You have a character. Let's try number 2. Now, remember number 2? I did it more 3D on purpose. So you have to kind of see where the eyes go. Now, if you follow this, if remember the eyes are here, you have to kind of follow that same kind of spacing. Now, remember, since his head is curved a little bit, this is going to be a little shorter, and this is going to be a little bigger, okay? Since his head is curved a bit, you're going to see more of this ear here and less of this ear over here, all right? Nose is going to be here, mouth is going to be here. And you have the same character, except it looks more realistic and more like a cartoon character, more like animation character, okay? This one's pretty stiff. It's a great design, but this one has a little life to it. Now, you can still erase. Ta-da! But now, hair comes, okay? Hair is very important. Remember, you go around the shape of the hair, okay? Now he looks like someone in my neighborhood, has my family hair. So you do the shape of it, and then you erase the lines you don't need, okay? And the person has hair. Now, if you want to do curls and stuff like that later on, you can totally do that. But I would kind of just put curls a little bit, like the idea of curls. Because if you're there, blah, 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 it's just going to look all funky and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it looks a little funky. You can do that in a different, more artistic way, okay? So let's try this hair on this side. Now, remember, you can go more angular here because this is a really super cartoon, like really super cartoony. Okay. And then you could erase the lines on the inside. Okay. And then, number two, the more realistic character, I can play, remember, if the middle of the head is here, the middle of the head is going to be around here. If his eyebrows are going to be here, his sideburns are going to be here, sideburns are just above the ear, okay? So I want to kind of play with the same kind of shapes, you see? And then kind of play, remember, you're going to see less of the hair here and more of the hair back here, see? Now, the neck goes in, ta-da, this, see like that. And you can play with the shape of the face too. For instance, if you want the cheek to be more out, to make him super cute, a little bottom lip, kind of play with the shapes like that. Make him a little bit more realistic, and then you can put curls on him too, okay? So it's kind of like the basic chibi. When you're drawing chibi girls, it's actually the same rules as it's the boys. Big head, okay? The basic one has kind of a rectangle for body. The more complicated one is the big head with the string for the spine. Put the body around the string, okay? And then the crazy one. Now, the first one, number one, this is number two, this is number three, okay? Number one, arms on the top, legs from the bottom, okay? Remember, the corners are very important to keep your limbs coming out of. Then, same rules as boys, okay? Again, I like to have big feet, but you don't have to. If you want to do little feet like this character right here, you can totally do that. They look more like babies when you do that. The eyes, the bigger the eyes, let's go like this. The lower the eyes and the bigger the eyes, the more young the character looks. And this looks like a real baby. Okay, like a doll. When you do girls, you can actually make the top line a little darker, and that gives the illusion of eyelashes. That way you don't have to keep going lap, 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 lap for eyelashes. That can be a little tedious sometimes. Control Z, 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 Z. You can actually just make the eyes darker. Let's see over here too. Remember that cross, all right? Remember the curved cross. Pretend it's an egg and it's 3D, and you put the lines where the lines should be, okay? So this is here, that's here, that's here. Eyebrows are very important. Eyebrows gives you a lot of mood for the character. They convey a lot of the information for your story. If the character is sad, the eyebrows are gonna show it. If the character is, this is called a fishtail, this over here, if you're gonna do this, that's okay. That's very feminine, very shorthand for girl, all right? Nose, mouth, okay? Ears, if her ear is here, then her ear is gonna be here, and then you hide a little bit over there, okay? All right, remember shoulders, hips are very important, and you pose the character you want to pose. This gives you more freedom in telling body language and telling a story, having action happen, and actually planning the page of a comic book if you're gonna get that far, okay? Now, hair for girls. It depends on the character you want. Let's make it a little thicker now. I'll put circle there for her hands. Thicker, circle for her hands. Okay, let's make her legs. Remember, you're gonna start from the middle of the body and down. Okay, you want her to make her legs separate. We're not like SpongeBob. You know how SpongeBob is built like this and he has these two popsicle sticks? We're not built like that. We're actually one body split into two, okay? So this looks more realistic. Then you take your eraser and you erase the parts you don't want, all right? That's why you draw lightly, folks, so you can erase better, all right? And test your eraser somewhere else too. Sometimes the pencils have such a bad eraser. You wanna make sure you have a pretty decent one, okay? All right, then, feet, okay. Let's give her some nice shoes. I'm gonna give some high tops, okay, with some really high soles. Okay, some high tops, blah, blah, blah. Now you can do anything you want with your character depending on what time period they are. If they're aliens, you can kind of play with all sorts of nice gear for your characters. Let's make a superhero. Okay, let's give her an A. She is amazing girl. Okay, let's give a little star over here. All right, amazing girl has a magic belt. She has gloves and she has a great cape. See? How fabulous is she? Okay. Again, if you're gonna do an amazing girl like that, give her that A, more 3D, all right? Let's give her these cool sneakers, a little high top. Okay. And what else? The cape. The cape flows. Remember, it flows and it's always from the back of the character, okay? So you notice over here, I put it in the front. That's where I get my eraser. I put it in the back, all right? Here we go. You can erase little parts over here. And we can still make Amazing Girl here. She's super chibi style. Like kind of like Powerpuff Girls. Powerpuff Girls are super chibi, which they don't really make sense because they kind of need fingers, you know? But they don't look like they have fingers. How are you gonna fight crime without fingers? All right, you can put the cape like that. Okay, now she looks very cool. Now hair, depending what kind of hair you want, I would say make hair like hair in your family. So let's say if my family has curly hair, I'm gonna make the shape of it. Okay, first you do the shape of the hair. Always, if the cape is in the wind, by the way, her hair should be in the wind too. All right, let's give her some bangs. Let's give her a little bit of a kind of like tiara kind of deal. Let's get the eraser. Ta-da. Okay. If I want to, you see, I noticed that I put the shape of her hair. And then if I really want to, I can give her earrings if I want to. Now, I tend not to draw girls that are too girly, just because I keep worrying that they're going to lose their earring during a fight. So it's better to fight without earrings. Okay, so if you're going to do little curls on it, okay. If I'm going to do black hair, I'll color that later on. But I want to put the shape of some of the curls. I don't have to put too many curls on there to show that it's curly, all right? Because if you put too many curls, it looks a little bit too busy and it takes away, takes the eye away from the cape and everything else, okay? Now, if I make her hair like this, remember, I'm going to still think about where the bangs are. But let's say I wanted to put in a ponytail. Well, I just go like this and I'll make it. See? She's having a ponytail there. Okay, that means her hair is tied back and she has a curl there. Okay, and then you take the eraser and kind of erase where you need to erase. All right. That's more her character. If I want to go, let's say she felt like having an afro day. Well, let's puff it up a little bit. Okay. I still think about the curl. I still think about the tiara, kind of like that. But you notice that the shapes are very simple. And I'll just take the eraser and erase the line I don't use, okay? Oh my goodness, she looks so cute. And that's what you're supposed to do. Chibis are supposed to look really super cute, okay? I know, she looks like this girl in my neighborhood. Actually, she looks like my Aunt Isabel. Her hair is like kind of big like that too, all right? So that's the basic way of drawing girls, Chibis. If you want to draw animals, same basic thing, and this is really quick. Like for instance, if I want to draw a dog, big head, think about the dog as a body. If they're standing up, legs, feet, kind of like the paws, tail, neck, And then think about it. If your animal is a dog, then do they have big Chihuahua ears? Remember the nose? Dogs have very prominent kind of snouts, okay? Even Chihuahuas. You can go that way. You have yourself a Chihuahua, don't forget the collar. If you want to do big head and it's looking at you, well, think about how they sit. So like that in front, and then you put the legs back there. You could fake that, see? Put the collar if you want to. And then think about if the character is looking this way. Ears, ears, or let's say if you have a bigger dog. Your dog is kind of like one of those big, see with a big bushy tail. Okay, think about again, legs. Dogs have these weird kind of like almost back way kind of thing. Okay, paws. And this is Chibi style, remember. So if they're kind of like a German Shepherd, they're still gonna have a big head, but kind of like that big snout. And then people ask me, why are you drawing? Or let's say they do floppy ears. Let's get some floppy ears in there. I like those with floppy ears. Then you erase the lines you don't need, okay? So you want floppy ears, okay? And then you have the basic shape and then you play with it and make it the way, you know, make it the way you want, you know? Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Yes, she is. If you want to do cats, the same rules. Circle, kind of like the body. Now remember, cats' tails are more like snakes. They have a curve to it. They're very thin. Some cats, most cats, okay? Kind of still built like the dogs. The only thing that's different to me with cats is their attitude. So let's say they tend to have bigger ears. You could probably put this little cuff here. And the eyes tend to be more like that. Hey, what a nice little cat. I'll put bigger ears. Meow. See, the cats are kind of cool looking. All right. Same thing with birds. If you want to do a bird, again, tail, feet, wing. So Chibi rules kind of make you draw anything. Okay. Let's put a little quail thing here. All right. So remember, Chibi rules are pretty simple. A boy, girl, animal, creature, monster. You can make it like a snake. Or alien. All right. Great. I'm going to give you a few minutes to create your own chibi. All right. So let's put out, this is the girl chibi again. All right. This is the boy chibis again. This is the cat chibis. And I'll even throw in some heroic chibis in case you want to do a hero, like a chibi. Remember, even if you draw the Hulk, just make the chest a little bigger, the arms a little bigger, the feet still kind of small. All right, and notice that the person right away looks like a superhero, okay? You can even make Batman this way. Let's make a Batman type character because I do not own the copyright. So let's make Nightman, okay? With an N. All right, let's do capes. You notice how that chibi looks very chibi, but very heroic too. You can make even like a Hulk type. Hulk types tend to be very big, very kind of really super muscular, which means you make really thick arms, small legs, to kind of accentuate how big they are. Let's say the Hulk will be short, so this will be the bulk. Because remember, guys, don't waste time drawing other people's characters. Create your own. All right. That way you get money. See? Ta-da! Ta-da! Did I say ta-da enough? Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Okay, guys, get to it. Give you 5 minutes, and then we'll come back to the program, okay? Dun, 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 dun. Hey, thanks for coming to Manga 101. You've learned a little bit about the history of manga. You know how to do your chibis now. But what about shoujo and shonen characters? Learn all about that in Planet Manga. So until then, see you soon. Thanks a lot, folks. Enjoy, and please keep drawing.